these are 5 human rights that we all need to work. Some of them met growing up, and others of us got less. So I'm going to be working these through the systems you're talking about, okay? The first thing is self-esteem. Self-esteem is the understanding, the like cellular understanding that we are precious and valuable because we exist. That is not taught in our culture. Our culture says our worth is dependent on our performance, our attributes, or what other people think of us. So we get very caught up many times a day in performance esteem, attribute esteem, and other esteem. And it is an act of spiritual practice in my book to remember that we are precious and valuable because we exist. And remember when you first saw your little babies and you went, oh my God, these are these precious little beings. That is in every single one of us. And we lose touch with it. And that is our first order of business with ourselves. And I would say in the morning when you first wake up, reminding yourself that you're precious and valuable, and you're going to walk into a world that's not going to necessarily reflect that back to you. And you have to keep reminding, remembering, and re-being that with yourself all day long. So, for instance, when I first became a mom, I was having a hard time because I was a very ambitious, out there therapist working really hard, and I all of a sudden went from that to being an at-home mom, and I felt like I disappeared. And when I was disappearing and I didn't have all those kudos from my intellect, my social world, my business world, I was like, how am I going to make myself feel okay all day long? And that's what I had to do. And that's what I hope you each do for yourselves and each other, because sometimes we need reminders. I'm precious and valuable, right? Remind me. And our culture does not feed that. Our culture says if you're out there, you're making the big bucks, you got the big fancy job, you have the big fancy car, all that stuff, that's where you get your kudos. So when we're doing this very private work of raising beautiful children, and I mean beautiful souls inside, that is so much hard work, and we don't really get it unless we have groups like this and reinforcement, okay? So that is huge. One of the things that happens that lets us know we're not in our holding on to our self-esteem is a very simple thing that's called we go into better than or we go into less than. And we'll do it first in our minds. I'm better than you, that I'm thinner, richer, raise my kids better, can speak French and German and Italian. I mean, it doesn't matter. It can even be you drive up, to the school and somebody's got, the cool car, or they're riding their bikes with their kids and you can't. I mean, the numbers of comparisons that we get out there with and start saying I'm better than or less than based on what you're doing that I'm not, it happens all day long because our culture is very competitive. In that competitiveness, it's built on comparison, and comparisons make us feel either better than or less than. Anybody experience that in their lives? Right? You all know what I'm talking about. So the notion of when I find myself going into less than, and less than in my work, I always use an example of a teeter-totter. And at the edges of the teeter-totter are all the polarities that there are in life. And life is built on duality. You guys have all heard about duality, right? And those duality are all the poles. And our work is to come from the poles toward the middle of that teeter-totter, so we're balancing on that apex. So the pole in the self-esteem is better than, I'm up above you, I'm arrogant, I'm grandiose, I'm looking down my nose at you, and I'm making myself feel better than you as a way to feel okay. Less than is I've gone into shame on me, I don't do something as well, I'm not as thin as you are, I'm not as smart, I don't have as much money, and oh, by the way, my best friend just hurt my feelings yesterday, so I've feel like I'm nothing. So those are processes that go on with all of us. If we have a family of origin that fed those, that teeter-totter is going to be flipping up and down way faster than when you've gone, okay, I had parents who really positively mirrored me, who told me I was precious and valuable. We had parents like that. We're probably going to be more in the apex, being able to balance. But everybody goes through this because we live in a culture that says, well, you might be good at home, but out here in the world, there's somebody better. Okay? So this is an ongoing, how do we keep bringing ourselves back to that centered balance all day long, all day long, all day long, with our thinking and with our feeling, and then with our speaking. So what goes on inside, you better believe we're doing it outside. Does that make sense? What we're thinking and feeling, we're thinking we got it all, covered up. Everybody else walks around and go, oh, she thinks she is so better than. Or, oh my God, she's walking around. I feel like I have to scrape her off the floor. Every time I see her, I just want to hug her and tell her, you're just precious. Why do you treat yourself so bad? So we all have friends or selves that we're doing that process with. And what I like to teach is let's have compassion for each other, because we're all in the soup. Nobody is better than, nobody is less than. We are all precious and valuable, and we're all in the struggle. So that's a big message. If I could get nothing else to you tonight, I want you to go home with that one.